before we end up going into those challenges at 7 p.m., I want you to know that for about the next hour, we're going to drop in on some of the matches that are happening right now. And to start things off, we're beginning with StarTale's PartinG versus Evil Genius's PuMa, to showcase a little bit about some of the stuff that's going down in their
Yeah, I like
world.
that this is labeled as a warm-up game because it's kind of like a unbelievably awesome game to kick off the Red Bull LAN Orlando with. We're honored to have both of these players here as training partners, and well, here we go. Let's see how these guys fare.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a little PartinG versus PuMa. Hope you're ready and excited. Going into match number 1 right now. We're up in the top corner. We have PuMa spawning as that friendly blue Terran, and down in the bottom left is PartinG. It's on Daybreak, which I believe PartinG was the one who got the chance to choose this map, and Daybreak's really been becoming quite popular in the tournament circuit, but it's still not one of those maps that has stepped into the laddering system yet.
Yeah, not quite yet, but we are seeing it a lot more. In fact, several of the tournaments coming up are actually adding it to the map pool, so we're going to be seeing a lot more lately. Of course, it's been featured in many of the Korean leagues for quite some time. And, PartinG, I'd love to talk with you a little bit about the invites to this and the training partners, because PartinG is a player that I think a lot of people are excited to see him be a part of this Red Bull LAN.
Yeah, PartinG is one of these players that, on StarTale, a lot of people know Bomber to be one of the core central players, and PartinG's sort of risen so rapidly, doing so well in a lot of foreign tournaments, doing very well in the GSL team leagues, and has rapidly become one of the ace players for his team. He uses some pretty unusual builds, doing the one-gate triple expand in this matchup quite frequently. Both these players generally favor fairly long-term styles of play, but I mean, even see PartinG right off the bat looks like he's going to be going for a kind of Nexus first opening. But because this is a practice game, these players are avoiding doing things like crazy cheeses to try to win the match right off the bat. That's something you want to practice after you get that down pat.
Right. And, in this environment, this is a better way to go about the game. And so, and talking a little bit more about PartinG and sort of his recent successes, what do you think he's going to bring most to the Red Bull LAN in terms of, against the focus players?
Well, generally when you have a player who comes out of nowhere and really rises rapidly to prominence, it's the sort of player who did so by trusting his own style. If you're trying to be one of those people who just mimics what other people do, you'll always be 90-80% of what that other player is. And we see PartinG right off the bat doing a fairly unorthodox Nexus first and then going straight into the gateway. Ends up being somewhat uncommon, very, very stable, but you can already see that PartinG's style is starting to come forth. He's very, very macro-oriented. At the same time, tell us a little bit about PuMa. I know you've got a chance to cast him quite a bit. We've been focusing largely on PartinG.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad you asked, because PuMa to me is kind of he's a little bit of a poster boy for consistency. We've continued to see him in the top, winning a competition, or in the top 2 or in the top 3. And so, PuMa is just one of those individuals that I think you really, really have to, you really, really have to be afraid of, especially if you have some problems versus Terran. So I think, again, for being here at the Red Bull LAN, he's going to be a great asset to all of the focus players.
Yeah, and likewise, I mean, PuMa, I think, has a curse when it comes to trying to get into the GSL. Has performed brilliantly in so many foreign tournaments, and ooh, look at this, Marcus, really fast third command center.
Yeah, and we've actually seen this happening a lot more, especially with the Korean Terrans. In fact, I think Bomber, you mentioned earlier, Polt also, someone who likes to go with that 3 command center, and then both of these guys really pushing it to the limit, being, I don't even want to call it greedy, I just think they are setting themselves up for that later game, kind of like what you mentioned earlier.
It's interesting because PuMa, with his GSL curse, he still manages to crush top Korean players when he's not in Korea. But when he's there, it just seems like such a problem. So this is a great practice, not just against someone of PartinG's caliber, but also of PartinG's Korean play style, that very, very macro-oriented. And, of course, playing on Daybreak helps a lot. Now, coming more to the focus of the game itself, PuMa is doing a very, very defensively minded triple command center, getting the 3 barracks up really quickly. It almost looks like he's just delaying a regular early expansion by exactly 400 minerals, just sneaking in a third at base.
Now, let's talk a little bit about that third base and how important or what the Protoss can do to try to... Oh, wow. Okay, well, it looks like we're just going to have almost a similar strat going on, but
This is so great. You know, if you actually come back and look at these two strategies, PartinG is well known for loving very fast triple Nexus, and it's become so popular that almost all the Protosses have started to incorporate it in the last month or so. So what are the Terrans doing?
Scouted.
Yeah, Marcus, it looks like PuMa managed to successfully spot that. I don't think PuMa's very surprised by that. He's literally indirectly countering it. He's saying, you know what, I'm going to get the third command center because I'm kind of expecting you to get that fast third. Even if you don't, I'll be able to hold it off quite well.
Ooh, and here comes the big gateway drop for PartinG. And right now, there's only a lapse for PuMa. And I think the factory's just now going down, so he's just got the tech lab on the one. It means he's not going to have a ton of Marines coming out here, maybe not even any Marauders. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But the factory just about halfway complete. Now, is he, with all these gateways down, intending to just go for a ridiculous amount of aggression?
Well, this is a great general trend we see emerging more and more and more in all matchups of StarCraft 2. I need to figure out how to defend. So rather than just build those defenses, little Stalker getting a little bold, rather than just defend, I'm going to make so many units that they can defend, and if you're not attacking, then I'm going to be the one doing the aggression. So interestingly, this very fast 8 gateway.
Yeah, 8 gates all opening up right now, getting both gases at his second, and already mining there from his third. So behind this could be an awful lot of aggression. We don't see a forward pylon yet as far as I can tell, but the army does look like it is moving across the map. There is the probe out there. A lot of the Protoss like to put it below that third, and this is exactly the location that we see it quite often.
Interestingly, the Protoss should be way ahead in terms of probes with 3 Nexuses and a fast chrono boost. But, of course, with 3 command centers, we see that PuMa is not far behind at all. He's going to have to be very, very careful as he sees a lot of units coming in. And, you know, that sort of reaction time, it's so hard to rely on that until you're the best of the best. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times we see players, whoopsie daisies, accidentally losing units, such as this Stalker being Exhibit A for what I just said.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, that pylon jump is getting closer and closer to the bases. We have more pylons going down here. And in fact, the Marine has seen it, so he's very much aware that the aggression is potentially coming now. He saw these units move forward, and SCVs had to be pulled for this battle.
Oh, it looks like he managed to get a very, very nice grab. Loses a couple of SCVs, but he's hoping to waste as much energy on those sentries as possible. This is a very common timing for PartinG to want to push. He could win at this very moment if PuMa's not careful. He actually just needs 15 more seconds on that stim. That would be a very tragic first blow to his early push.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see now one of the bunkers going down. The second one's going to fall as well. The Marines pretty much trapped behind, and there's still a lot of units out there for PartinG. Stim does finish, but is it going to be able to do anything?
It looks like the medevacs finished just in time. So that's a very nice, calm defense there by PuMa managing to hold on. But you'll note, a second round coming in by PartinG. That may have been a big blunder right there by PuMa. He wants to go into big macro mode, and he looks like, nice force fields. Managed to push everything away, and he will have to return with that medevac. Where did the medevac go? It's already too far gone down to the left side, and it looks like PartinG might get the chance to get a relatively fast early win with this huge gateway count, while meanwhile back home even getting the double Forge and Twilight Council.
Yeah, it's if the attack fails, I've got to be ready for what's going to happen next, and that's just setting himself up and a sign of a very, very good player. It looks like the natural is going to fall and occupied by the units of the Protoss player PartinG. And now PuMa just on this one base, he never even got to get that third down or established. He is dropping over at that third, and he's going to do some damage here, but the question is, what's he going to do about this at his front door?
Only has 5 Marines back home at the front. No reactors, can hardly kill it off in time. It looks like this counter drop is really not going to be able to do much. PartinG is definitely struggling to be able to deal with that drop on the left side, but PuMa has 3 Marines, and medevacs are apparently really good with SCVs. The bunkers finally finish, and PuMa manages to get in, and meanwhile, it looks like, PuMa's done some incredible damage with that drop. Wow, 42 workers killed for PartinG, only 7 for PuMa.
Wow. And the Stalkers continue at the front. We have 2 bunkers down at the front, and he holds it up, but at what cost, right? I mean, where is he at this point in time? 55 supply for PuMa versus the 86. The third base, it got hit pretty hard, but did not fall, and PartinG still looks to be in just a phenomenal position.
And I think it's really key that PuMa does get a lot of training against the specific style. It's very easy to convince yourself that big 8-gate push is somehow an all-in, or is somehow the attack that needs to win right then and there. In fact, what that attack is doing is hitting at the 9-minute mark. That's right when PuMa is starting his first 2 medevacs. If you attack right as the first 2 medevacs finish, it's an easy way to automatically defend against drop. There's no way that the Terran player can afford to send out Marines and do a drop, because if he does, he'll simply die at the front, which is pretty much what we're seeing PuMa struggle with right here, that inability to stay alive after that huge push, because he tried to get the medevacs a little bit too fast. If, for some reason, PuMa was able to defend against that push, no big deal. PartinG has already begun getting his basic tech up, and there's the 1-1 upgrades coming up, more gateways, completely skipping over any need for the Colossus tech.
So, I mean, talk to us a little bit, Sean, about where we're at in terms of PuMa and what he needs to do. I mean, the drop while he was being attacked at the front, that was great. You know, keeping his opponent on his toes. Looked like another drop heading over here, but there's a lot of units here to defend, including some Archons. This drop's going to get cleaned up. Actually, no. He's going to have. He's going to say no. I've decided against that one, but PuMa, at this point, does he need to go more aggressive and just try to, you know, force out a win, or what do you think?
I think PuMa needs to just try to do some kind of aggression. He can't really afford to just kind of sit back and wait, especially if he waits that Psionic Storm will finish off. But honestly, PartinG is just playing this out really smart. He's getting Speed Zealots, he's getting Archons, he's waiting very patiently, he has units positioned at the back of his base, and he's getting more and more and more gateways. He knows that it's time to play passive until he can get 2-2 finished. And again, PartinG moving out right as 2-2 starting to wrap up. There's the brilliantly timed scan by PuMa, but the real problem is that he just hardly has the army that PartinG does. This is a very nice just 1-2 cleanup. It looks like PuMa might go for a Doom drop to try to force the opponent to pull back, but there's a Templar who can feed back.
Is he going to be ready for it? In come the medevacs, going to be dropping down all the units, double feedback, but both of those medevacs survive just barely, and he's got to clean up these units and then start to do some damage. Meanwhile, is PartinG going to attack from the front, because it looks like the army is moving forward, and that is going to be nasty.
Oh, it looks like the front is completely wide open. Nice first match coming out of PartinG. Excellent double execution there. First that first push, and then this follow-up sweep. PuMa trying to micro as best he can. And there's the good game, PartinG, with a convincing win there.
Very convincing.
And, you know, if this were the average tournament, it would be very easy to say something like, oh, my gosh, you know, like PartinG getting the solid win, really demonstrating his dominance in that situation. But keep in mind, this is a training event. Really, that was one of those moments to try to highlight the current weaknesses that PuMa might be feeling in that Terran versus Protoss matchup.
Sure. And, you know, he looked very, very nice in doing so. And, I mean, certainly his travels and getting set up has not affected his ability to play at all. One of the things that certainly sets him apart from, you know, some players out there. And we're, you know, just going to be hopping into another game here in just a moment.